decided by a fabulous finish. A finish that we couldn't find, but keep going and we'll look to the next game.
David himself has been in difficult positions at various points in his managerial career, which goes back to the 90s now. I mean, did he offer any sort of wisdom to someone a bit younger than himself who maybe hasn't been in his position at this level before?
Yeah, only a little bit younger, and I have been in this position, by the way, because it's all relevant, whether you're at Halifax, Northampton, Oxford, Sheffield United. It's all relevant. When you lose games of football. Yeah, he did. He said hire a jumbo jet and take all the players to Miami. So I'm just going to be on the phone to the owner now. If we can get that sorted out, that's the way forward. Don't look at it too tactically. Don't look at it too deeply. Your team's giving you everything, which they are. And maybe a trip to Miami for a few days might be the answer. That was David's advice to me. I'm not sure I'll get that over the line, Aidan.
He did that himself a couple of years ago, actually. I bumped into his players on Miami Beach. That's the true story. Anyway, listen, you were competitive again today as you've been in your other games. I mean, what do you think will be the key to arresting this run of results? Because it must be a very frustrating time for you as well, not quite being able to get the win over the line. Yeah,
just to nick a result somewhere on the line. But, you know, it's a ruthless division. It's a cutthroat division, as I've said in the previous interviews. It doesn't help you. It doesn't give you any handouts. It's not a time to go into our shell as players. I certainly won't as a manager and leader of the football club. So you have to get on with it. And as I answered another question in one of the other interviews, you know, the club was 4 or 5 years ago, 12th or 13th in League One. And without wanting to be disrespectful, some of the places where they were going to, you know, and rightly so, because we weren't good enough to get out of that division for quite a number of years, weren't great. We're in the Premier League, and I'm sat in the office with David Moyes. So, you know, we have to embrace the challenge. We have to embrace everything that goes along with the Premier League, and we're going to have to find a way. And we'll try our best to do that.
Don't like having to ask these questions, Chris, but I mean, do you become fearful of your own position at any point?
Don't like trying to ask that question. So is that your question or somebody from above?
No, it's mine. It's my question. It's definitely my question. I promise you. Yeah.
I'm just worried about just concentrating on getting a result, mate. I haven't got the sack for 20 years. Don't know if you've seen it. 911 games and 20 years not had the sack. I don't fear anything. I'm concerned the situation that we're in, of course. I love my football club. I love my players. It's great when you ask them questions. It's great, isn't it? How flippantly you guys talk about people's futures and careers and jobs. I love all that.
That's the game, Chris.
It hasn't. To be fair, it's not really. It's not really involved me for 20 years, even though through that period we've had some downtimes, you know, from my point of view in that experience. We've had a few downtimes, managed to get through it. But the biggest thing is obviously, you know, sort of getting a result for Sheffield United in this hugely competitive division that we're in.
Just one final one for me. Is Ethan Ampadu okay?
You know, he's injured. He came off with an injury, hip flexor.
Yeah. Does it look like it's going to be a long one, or do you think you can get it back pretty quickly, or is it too early?
It's incredibly early, after about 2 hours after the end of a game, to assess that, but we assess it during the week.
Thanks very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rob Staten, when you've done shaking your head.
Chris, what's missing at the moment that prevents you from getting a result from a game like this?
I thought the attitude to the game was good. I thought you're not going to ask me that question, are you? You're going to ask me that question. The attitude of the team was great. I thought the start of the game was good. Fine margins that decide games. They found a finish and we haven't. Bit of quality, a little bit of belief and confidence in individuals' play, which happens and I accept and comes with the territory of obviously only picking up the points that we have done. A scruffy result out of somewhere. You know, no disrespect. I watched or looked at a couple of huge results last season. You know, Norwich beating Man City. I think you know that sort of result where, you know, backs against the wall result that we're after. Ride your luck a little bit sort of result, which everybody needs from time to time, and certainly obviously that's what we're after.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
Yes, Rob.
Shieldsy?
Hello there, mate. That discussion that you had with David, joking aside, is that what you think they need? Is just a break from it all, and it's sort of a psychological thing rather than a systemic thing?
I didn't think there was not a lot wrong with. We're never, James. We're never going to beat anybody in this division 3 or 4-0. Let's be right about it, you know. And if people, I keep saying, if people think we can go toe to toe with the top 4, top 6. If people think that we're going to win games comfortably 3 or 4, they're always going to be tight games. For us to make them tight games is in a way a compliment to my team and where they've been and what they're doing. All the games last year were tight games. We had a perfect storm last year when people trying to sort of assess what we did last year and assess what we did this year. We had a perfect storm with the Bramall Lane crowd that we talked about, with clean bill of health that we talked about, big moments that we talked about, scoring at Bournemouth, scoring against Chelsea. We've just done exactly the same today as what we did last year. The performance against West Ham last year here to what it was today was not far off. A tight game. They found the finish. We didn't. They made a mistake last year and we took it, and they couldn't find a big finish. So as you can imagine, sort of my in-depth sort of coverage for every minute of possibly the day that I think about the football club and what we can do better, covers enormous a lot of things, whether it's tactically, technically, physically. But speaking to somebody of an LMA winning manager for about 3 or 4 times at Everton, and managing Manchester United and managing abroad and managing West Ham, when he comes out with, there's not a lot wrong with your team, maybe a trip to Miami on a jumbo jet to clear your heads a little bit might be the answer. Gives me sort of a lot of belief in terms of what we're doing, and we're not a million miles off. I'm not sure that triple will happen, James, and if it is, I'll try and get you on it, mate.
Oh.
But the team is together. They're having a go. It's relentless. It's cutthroat. Is the Premier League, and we're just falling a little bit short at the moment. But as I said, as leader of the football club and trying to lead the players forward, I'm okay with today's performance. We're just lacking, as I said, a little bit of quality, which I think comes with that belief and confidence that obviously results bring.
Obviously, fingers crossed, I'll be getting the passport out, and everybody else will be. Yeah. But if you, assuming that you can't get a trip to the States, what do you do? In all seriousness, how do you give them that almost American experience, if you like?
I keep saying to you, what about all these other sportsmen? What about these other people that go through life and things go against them? What did they do? Did they get the white flag out and say that's it, or they keep battling away? Today yet again, and there'll be opinion on systems and whatever. They had their system, we had our system. The game wasn't decided on systems. The game was decided on a bit of quality that they had, and we couldn't find. Nothing in the game. They had a couple of chances. We had a couple of chances. I don't think any of you, me, the people that watched that game, would have been incredibly surprised if that had been a 1-0 victory to Sheffield United. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but that's where I thought about it. You know, it wasn't an imbalanced game. It wasn't, you know, West Ham were incredibly unlucky not to win that game 3-4. There was, for me, there was, as I've said, there was nothing in it, James, apart from, you know, some in and around the box that decided it from their point of view and our point of view.
Just on Lease as well. I know obviously John played today. How far away is he from?
He'll be back for next week.
Yeah,
I'm sure that he'll be involved. His first few days training this week came a little bit too soon. Delighted that Flecky has got 90 minutes under his belt. You know, that's great news for us. We're still struggling with the left-hand side centre half, I'll be honest with you, in terms of that position. You know, I didn't really want to move Ender, but I thought that was an option. Jack Robinson's played in that position, and obviously Ethan's played in that position today, and obviously had to come off with an injury. So that's the balance of the team is not great. Young Max is playing obviously at left wing back at the moment. I would say too soon, in my opinion, in an ideal world, but these things come and we have to deal with it. So it's not an ideal world, but him and all the players are giving me everything, and you know, we have to battle through it.
And just Billy wasn't in the squad today. Was that just a selection, or was that a knock? Or
Ryan Bruce is the future of the football club. You know, he's a young goal scorer. I usually have 3 forwards on the bench, but with John Egan as concussion, his situation, we had to be mindful of the fact that, you know, we had to cover that position. We had to cover Flecky as well, so we went with obviously Jags on the bench, Jack Robinson on the bench, Lundstrom and Ben Osborne to cover positions. So unfortunate for the skipper, but as I've said to him, possibly more so now he gets judged as a skipper than at any time when he's not playing, because it's quite easy when you're playing and everything's going well. But now, obviously, from that situation, he has to lead as a captain. So it's a disappointment from him. I can imagine him being disappointed. I get that, but we needed a bit of pace on the pitch, as you can imagine, with Ollie Burke. If we were up in the game, we need a stretch in the team. And Ryan Bruce is the future of the football club. So I went with 2 forwards on the bench instead of 3.
brilliant. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Mate.
Nath,
Hi, Chris. Just touching on John Fleck. I thought there was some really positive signs in that performance from him of what Fleck is all about. How pleased were you to see him?
Delighted, absolutely delighted for the boy. He's been an integral part of what's happened over the last sort of 3 and 4 years. He's trained for 2 or 3 days. It wasn't a risk, but you know, for not playing for a few weeks and then to go straight back in to a Premier League game, he'll get better. And he'll add to our performances.
And you spoke then about the challenges that you've been up against in your career, Chris, already in your 20 years. How big a challenge now is keeping Sheffield United in the Premier League for you in terms of your career? Is it the biggest challenge you've had?
It's the next challenge. So that's what I would say. I've had some huge challenges and managed to come through, as I just said. You know, we don't always have it easy as managers, and I've had good periods from a personal point of view, and not so good. But I think as I said, if you look at, you know, where we are as a football club, so to get asked that question, do I fear about my future and stuff like that? I don't know how to answer it really.
I'm not asking if you fear for the future. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just talking about the question that I got asked. So I you know, it's quite a difficult one to because I don't want to feel arrogant to say that I'm not untouchable, but I think, you know, the journey that we've had maybe thinks that, you know, that question shouldn't be asked. But I understand sometimes why it does get asked. In terms of challenges, it's the next big challenge, isn't it? Next big challenge. There's always challenges. Us to get out of League One was a challenge. Myself to get a team onto the pitch, Halifax, was a challenge. 20 years ago, Nath. My job to get Oxford United out of the conference into the Football League was a challenge. My challenge to keep Northampton up when they were 10 points light and not getting and people then weren't getting paid to get them out of the. There's always challenges in front of you, and we accept that and embrace it, and looking forward to that next challenge.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Thank you.
Cheers, Nath.
Cheers all. Thanks very
Cheers,
much.
guys.
Thanks for waiting.
Sorry, apologise again. Apologise again for being late.